So a few weeks ago, I made a video with a thumbnail that probably looks very similar to the video you just clicked on. However, it had a different title and premise to the video. I talked about how Smash was not dying, and this video I wanted to title Why Smash is Dying, because I wanted to ask if Smash is dying to certain people. And now obviously the answer that you'll first think of is no. That was the whole point of the last video. Smash is still averaging over 50,000 viewers concurrently for the top 8s of these big major tournaments that happen maybe once every 2 weeks, once every week, especially on championship Sundays. They're getting 50,000 viewers concurrently throughout top 64, throughout top 32. The viewership is not going crazy. Like, it's not like, oh, only 10k per tournament with, that's not happening. We're still averaging a good amount of people per tournament. However, that number during top 8 which is something that should never happen. As a tournament goes on, especially during Sunday nights, when championship Sunday usually is, viewers should only really go up, and you would normally see viewers peak either during grand finals or at like winners finals, because sometimes grand finals, especially I know on the East Coast here, certain grand finals can end up being like at like 12 at night, depending on where tournaments are. So certain grand finals are not going to be watchable for a lot of people, especially kids who go to bed earlier. But most peak tournament viewership will be like winners finals, winners semis, anytime like near 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. That's usually when you're going to get your peak viewership. And for huge Smash tournaments, like at Evo, and Evo isn't even really comparable, but huge Smash tournaments like Genesis, you might get to see peaks around 90k, even 100k, when Ultimate was really at its peak. However, now, what you're seeing a lot of times is you're seeing a peak viewership be at the very start of top 8, or even at the very end of top 16, which is very, very unusual compared to the normal trend of what a Smash tournament viewership is supposed to look like. And I feel like that is a significant problem for the Smash community, because it means that more people are invested in the actual journeys of the tournaments, these actual top 16 matches, than people are invested in the actual results of the tournament. And I feel like that's a very big problem, because nowadays these top 8s, when you look at top 8s and what characters consume top 8s, right? And these super big tournaments where you have names like Leo, Spargo, Akola, these are people that are expected to make top 8 no matter what, right? So you already know what certain characters are going to be in top 8. That motivation and that hype, that underdog story, comes from people making runs that you didn't necessarily expect to get into top 8, and people making runs with certain characters that you didn't expect in top 8. And that's when those viewership really peaks. You get people talking on Twitter, oh my gosh, this guy is going crazy with Lucario, he's about to make top 8, But I think the biggest problem is that these grand finals, they tend to be certain of the same characters, right? Like Akola is almost guaranteed. I think his lowest placement at a tournament in later years is not any lower, like at least in the US, it's not any lower than like 5th place or 4th place, which means when you're watching grand finals or losers finals or even winners finals, there's a very, very high likelihood that you're going to have to watch Akola. And this is not a diss on Akola, right? Akola is a product of playing a character that many people just don't enjoy watching. The gameplay, the risk reward of Steve as a character, Steve is just so unbalanced as a character that unfortunately, Akola gets a lot of undeserved hate and honestly just abuse from the community, just from the fact that his character isn't fun to watch. It's not engaging. Most characters get punished or the risk reward is so skewed towards Steve's favor for even approaching, which means that whoever Akola is playing now has to slow their game plan down. And only certain players, like for example Light, have a certain play style that actually can like overwhelm Akola and force Akola to play a certain different way. Most people that are going to play against Akola are just going to have to respect Steve and end up slowing the game down itself, which unfortunately makes it a terrible viewing experience for the spectators, just to be frank, and which leads to these grand finals not having your peak viewership. Even at a recent tournament, I think it was Crown or one of these other tournaments that was actually an East Coast tournament, which meant it ended championship Sunday was even before Melee. So you're having Ultimate finished even before Melee, and Ultimate is finishing around like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night on the Eastern Coast, which is really early when you should be getting your peak numbers. And you're getting more viewers for like top 16 final match to get into top 8 qualifiers than you are getting for your winners semis or your winners grand finals. Like, it's insane how many more people will watch these previous sets with characters that we haven't seen as much, or players that we don't even see in these top 8s, then people are willing to watch, some of the best players in the world, which previously that hasn't happened. And I saw a tweet that I think really enveloped the whole idea of the fact that there isn't really any storyline in the current Smash universe, if you want to say, right? If you go back to the first 3 years of Ultimate before COVID, right? You had so many different storylines that were driven through each tournament, right? You started off with, obviously, early Ultimate had so many different storylines, and now that the game has been out for a few years, certain stuff isn't going to be as new, right? You're not going to be expecting new character storylines, characters you've never seen before, because we've already seen a lot of that, right? It's just not going to happen again. However, there aren't any really huge rivalries that are like on a global scale, right? Obviously, back in the day, we had Tweek versus Leo fight for #1, which was really hype. You got Leo Joker, Tweek with the Pokemon trainer, and that all culminated at that really, really great Evo Grand Finals, which is still the most viewed Smash set on YouTube of all time, other than, actual set, like a 40-minute set. It's the most viewed Smash set of all time, and it's at like 2.4 million views, or even higher at this point. And that was a huge storyline back then, right? It drove viewership, and it was one of the most viewed Grand Finals in Evo history. And the reason that we don't have stuff like that anymore, right? There's no huge rivalry like Leffen versus Salem, right? The biggest grudge match we got is like MKLeo versus Zomba. And even if those guys, say they dislike each other, they're not hating each other like Leffen and Salem did, right? They're not having these like huge grudge matches. Even when the grudge match happened, because I know they did like the salt box a few weeks ago, it's not like either of them, at least from my perspective, it didn't feel like either of them like legitimately hate each other, or were like, going crazy over the grudge match, like we're gonna lose it if they lost. We haven't seen a moment like Leffen versus Salem since Leffen versus Salem. There's almost nothing in Ultimate's lifespan that compares to watching that moment as a viewer, and like you just see the crowd reaction during that clip. I mean, it's quite obvious that that moment was the culmination of such a big storyline in Smash's history that we don't see that anymore. And I feel like, unfortunately, it almost sucks to say, but the characters that are good, the players that are good, like Akola, these are players like, and even Leo, who has moved on from playing Joker so much and now usually plays, you'll see him playing Byleth or Aegis. These are characters that people just do not enjoy watching. Unfortunately, as unfortunate as it is, spectators do, I think the Smash community does have a problem with like abuses of certain people based on what characters they play. They don't understand how to separate the hate from the player from hate from the character. However, it is unfortunate as a spectator, people do have the right to say, I don't enjoy watching this, and the characters that some of these top players are playing are just not enjoyable to watch. And if these top players are able to win through bracket with these characters, especially like Steve, which is a character that many people will say that they just do not enjoy watching at all, especially if the Steve player like Akola ends up in a grand finals, people aren't going to watch the grand finals. If they don't feel like there's any reason to watch the grand finals, or they're like, okay, I don't really care who wins this tournament, I just don't care, so I'm not going to watch the grand finals. And that wasn't a real thing that we had, back in the first 2 years of Ultimate before COVID. Every tournament grand finals meant a lot more. And this is obviously, the players still put their time and their effort. They put their livelihood, their mental state, their physical state on the line for these tournaments. So these tournaments matter extremely. This is not saying that the tournaments matter less for the players. However, I think for spectators, certain tournaments, they would much rather see a set between this is just an example, like a set between Esam and Tweek rather than watching, Akola Spargo for another grand finals. And Akola Spargo isn't even like, it's probably the best example of a rivalry we've got right now, because Akola can't seem to beat Spargo over and over again. It's just something that he so far hasn't been able to do. And honestly, one of the biggest reasons for that problem, and this is my personal opinion, I think it's because there aren't that many reliable Ultimate streamers or content creators. Most content creation for Ultimate right now is either meme videos or just reactions to tournaments. So it means you don't have a lot of people just streaming Ultimate every night, and that's partially because Elite Smash is like what people would stream, and Elite Smash sucks. It's just not good. And most pros will practice, but they'll practice off stream, right? They'll just do LAN connections. They don't need to stream it. But I think that creates something that a sort of disconnect from the viewers. You don't see your favorite Smash players, your top players, streaming every single day, talking to each other, starting these rivalries, sharing their thoughts. Only time you really see these top players share their thoughts is like on Twitter, and we all know how bad of a place Twitter is. And most stuff that will start on Twitter, it can be fueled through stuff like stream clips, right? Like everybody knows the famous clip of Salem, Salem in the research, right? And that's what kind of fueled that Salem versus Leffen thing. However, you don't really see that anymore. There's only the only streamer who consistently streams Smash every single day is like HBox. And HBox is he's the most reliable ultimate streamer. And when you have HBox, somebody who's not a top ultimate player, well, he's a good player, but he's not a top ultimate player. He's not going to be contending for these top 8s in tournaments. When you have him as your most reliable streamer and most of your other top ultimate creators are not creating content, it just makes it so that there's nothing for the community to grab onto. You don't see much Smash content throughout the week except at tournaments. And I think that's why something like Tweek Talks is honestly one of the best things that a top ultimate creator has done for a while. I know Larry Lurr streams tournaments. Certain other top ultimate players stream tournaments. However, most top ultimate creators would much rather if they're going to stream, they'd much rather stream another game. And honestly, I don't blame them. It's not really fun to just go online and stream Elite Smash every single day. And unfortunately, that's a problem with Nintendo. It's like a problem that we're not going to be able to solve anytime soon because it's just the Wi-Fi sucks. However, somebody like HBox who's able to do that every single day is honestly one of the driving forces behind a lot of the ultimate daily thing. Like if I wanted to go online on YouTube and watch some ultimate content and I want something new, there's a good chance that I might not have it, or even if there's certain chances that I will have it, it's not like top quality content, or even a stream that you just want to watch. Like, oh, I want to watch some Ultimate. I want to watch somebody play Ultimate for an hour. That's a top player. There's not a guarantee that you're going to get that, and I feel like that is a big problem because for the first 2 years of Ultimate, you could get somebody streaming Ultimate every single day almost. There's top players that would stream Ultimate, would make Ultimate content. Ultimate was thriving during that period. People would play against other top players on stream. Most of the time, if you see top players playing each other, they're just going to be offline training or going in person and practicing against each other because online sucks. It's just a big problem, and I feel like that is one of the main reasons why top 8 viewership goes down in comparison to other top 16 viewership, which is like a trend that, it's not saying that the game is dying. However, it is saying that, there are obviously certain problems that the spectators have with watching these top 8s. And I think that is one of the biggest things, is that people just do not enjoy watching certain players play against each other. And, that's no fault to the players. The players are playing like they should, right? If I go to watch a Sonics versus a Cola set, I know exactly what to expect from that set. And, each player is going to do whatever they need to do to win. And, I can't say anything about that other than I don't enjoy watching this, so I'm going to turn off the stream. And that ends up lowering these top 8 viewership numbers, which makes it seem like the game is dying. But what do you guys think about this? This is all obviously my personal opinion and theories on the matter. Make sure to comment down below what you guys think about this and whether you guys think Ultimate is actually dying or not, or how long will Ultimate be able to sustain the way it is. Will any new big changes need to be done in order to save the game, or are we just gonna have to wait for a while to see if we get anything new in Smash? But with that all out of the way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.